The barrier between imagination and the concrete world has just been broken. The company Colossal Biosciences has made public the creation of 3 dire wolf pups, an extinct species from millennia ago that gained notoriety in popular culture as the inspiration for the giant wolves in the Game of Thrones series. The trio, named Romulus, Remus, and Khaleesi, was born in October and is already attracting significant interest from the scientific community and social media. This extraordinary feat reignites relevant debates about the limits of science, the moral implications of genetic resurrection, and humanity's role in interfering with life. The dire wolf, Aenocyondirus, inhabited the Americas until about 10,000 years ago. Weighing up to 80 kilograms and possessing extremely strong jaws, it was one of the apex predators of the Pleistocene. They lived in groups and competed for territory with large felines and cave bears. The disappearance of the dire wolf is attributed to the decline of megafauna, climate change, and certainly human presence. However, in a bold move, science has decided to transform this history. Colossal Biosciences, the same organization that intends to bring back the woolly mammoth and the Tasmanian tiger, used cutting-edge gene editing techniques to recreate the characteristics of the dire wolf from the genetic material of modern gray wolves. 14 crucial genes for their appearance and way of life were identified and altered. After genetic manipulation, the embryos were implanted in 2 female canines. The birth of the pups was kept confidential for several months. It's a game changer for biotechnology. We are rewriting the trajectory of evolution, stated Colossal CEO Ben Lamb. The news caused great commotion. While some scientists celebrate the progress, others express concerns. We are crossing a dangerous line between science and spectacle, warned geneticist Sarah Church of the University of Cambridge. Environmentalists also express fears about the unpredictable ecological consequences if the species is reintroduced into its natural habitat. Simultaneously, the international legal sphere is discussing whether these revived creatures should have some form of legal protection. The practice of trying to bring extinct species back to life is not new. In 2003, scientists managed to clone a bucardo, a species of Pyrenean ibex that disappeared in 2000. The animal survived for only 7 minutes. Unlike previous attempts, the Dire Wolf Project has substantial funding, support from academic institutions, and significant commercial ambitions, which elevates this case to a decisive moment for the field of so-called de-extinction science. The return of the dire wolf is just the beginning. Colossal has already announced plans to resurrect the woolly mammoth, an icon of the Ice Ages, by 2027. Experts warn that, in the absence of regulation, we may be on the verge of a real-life Jurassic Park. With the advancement of genetic engineering and the billion-dollar investment from Silicon Valley funders, what was science fiction a few years ago is now establishing itself as a promising business. The resurrection of the dire wolf marks a new era for science and humanity. If, on one hand, it demonstrates the technological power of the 21st century, on the other hand, it demands serious reflection on the ethical limits of genetic manipulation. The question that remains is, will we be ready to coexist with the species that we ourselves drove to extinction? Leave your like and tell us what you think. The dividing line between fantasy and the concrete world has been broken. The company Colossal Biosciences has made public the creation of 3 dire wolf pups, an extinct species from millennia ago that gained notoriety in popular culture as the inspiration for the giant wolves in the Game of Thrones series. The trio, named Romulus, Remus, and Khaleesi, was born in October and is already arousing great curiosity in the scientific community and on social media. This extraordinary feat raises again relevant debates about the limits of science, the moral implications of genetic resurrection, and humanity's role in interfering with life. The dire wolf, Aenocyondirus, lived in the Americas until about 10,000 years ago. Weighing up to 80 kilograms and possessing extremely powerful jaws, it was one of the apex predators of the Pleistocene. They inhabited in groups and competed for territory with large felines and cave bears. The disappearance of the dire wolf is credited to the decline of megafauna, climate change, and certainly human presence. However, in a bold undertaking, science has decided to transform this history. Colossal Biosciences, the same organization that intends to bring back the woolly mammoth and the Tasmanian tiger, used cutting-edge gene editing techniques to reconstruct the characteristics of the dire wolf from the genetic material of modern gray wolves. 14 crucial genes for their appearance and way of acting were identified and altered. After genetic manipulation, the embryos were inserted into 2 female dogs. The birth of the pups was kept confidential for several months. It's a game-changer for biotechnology. We are rewriting the course of evolution, declared Colossal CEO Ben Lamb. The news caused great commotion. While some scientists celebrate the progress, others express concerns. We are crossing a risky boundary between science and spectacle, warned geneticist Sarah Church of the University of Cambridge. Ecologists also demonstrate apprehensions about the unpredictable ecological developments if the species is reintroduced into its natural environment. Simultaneously, the international legal sphere is discussing whether these recreated creatures should have some form of legal protection. The practice of trying to revive extinct species is not unprecedented. In 2003, scientists managed to clone a bucardo, a species of Pyrenean ibex that disappeared in 2000. The animal survived for only 7 minutes. Unlike previous attempts, the Dire Wolf Project has substantial funding, support from higher education institutions, and ambitious commercial goals, which elevates this case to a decisive moment for the domain of so-called de-extinction science. The reappearance of the dire wolf is just the beginning. Colossal has already communicated plans to bring back the woolly mammoth, an icon of the Ice Ages, by 2027. Experts warn that in the absence of regulation, we may be close to a real-life Jurassic Park. With the development of genetic engineering and the billion-dollar financial contribution from Silicon Valley investors, what was science fiction a few years ago is now establishing itself as an emerging branch of business. The resurrection of the dire wolf establishes a new milestone for science and humanity. If, on one hand, it symbolizes the technological power of the 21st century, on the other hand, it demands a thorough analysis of the ethical limits of genetic manipulation. The question that persists is, will we be ready to coexist with the species that we ourselves drove to extinction? Leave your like and tell us what you think in the comments.